Alright guys, it's Peter here from Football for Kicks, and we're going to do a review on the PUMA EvoSPEED 1K in the white-red Limoges colorway, so white, red, blue. Alright, let's get to it. Okay, so let's start out with the comfort of the shoe. Now, PUMA have made two versions of the EvoSPEED. They've made a leather version and a synthetic version. And the leather version, not only is it just leather, but it's kangaroo leather, which is a nice thing to have on a speed boot, because speed boots such as the Adizero uses Galeo calf leather, which is stiffer, and this kangaroo leather is really soft and supple. It's easy, you can use it straight out of the box. It's nice, it's soft, it lasts longer. It's just, overall, it's just a better leather, and that's a nice thing to have in a speed boot. But something that Puma's actually lacked in putting in the kangaroo leather version is the EverFit cage around the midfoot, which isn't exactly necessary because all that it would do would be to provide more support, and the kangaroo leather already does that. And the kangaroo leather actually goes from the toe straight up the foot, but doesn't go on the sides. That's the synthetic material, but still, they wanted to keep the weight down, but it's still a nice fit and feel when you have it on your foot. Now, something that I've also noticed Puma have done is they've gone for a more anatomically correct shape around the toe box, which I find kind of nice, seeing as I've got, I believe it's a Roman or Greek ideal foot, where the second toe is actually longer than the big toe. And so instead of just having a toe box which comes up around the big toe and then just spikes back and cutting off these toes, it's a slower round around the toe, which makes it more comfortable for someone who has a average to wide foot like I do. And so overall, it's a really great fit. It's comfortable. I've worn them for about 10 hours now, and I wore them straight out of the box, including in one exhibition game, and they've just been broken in really well, so I've been quite happy with the comfort, and I'd give it an 8.5 out of 10 for comfort. Alright, so on to the performance of the boot. Now, in past versions over the years of Puma top-of-the-line speed boots, they've always had a carbon fiber piece or plate in the sole, but this year they've taken that out and introduced Puma's new speed sole plate with DuoFlex. DuoFlex just is the two for duo lines there, which is supposed to help the foot muscles for quicker changes of direction and natural flexion. And it's been quite soft straight out of the box. It can bend. It's good for giving that extra flexibility that you need for planting and pushing off, which I found really useful actually. And so from the V1 series there's now no more carbon, which is sort of a shocker, but I like these boots the way they are with the high strength TPU sole plate and just a one-piece outsole. And Puma's decided also to go with a mixture of blades and conal studs. They got the 4 blades in the heel and then 2 blades up here mixed with conal studs. And I found this gives actually quite good traction. I found this sole plate, there's not much stud pressure problems, but you can feel the studs underneath you and you sort of know where you're going with it, and I think that's very helpful when you're running around. And also, something just to note, on the bottom of the studs, there's sort of a fingerprint design, which is a cool little feature to have on the shoe, not that anyone's ever going to see it. Okay, and next onto the performance of the leather. Now, the leather's been quite soft from straight out of the box. I've been really happy with it. I've only got about 10 hours into these shoes, but they're already pretty much fitting my foot beautifully, and it's quite good leather. Not noticing any flaking or anything around the toe. And the synthetic material used on the sides, just where you can see the design, it's also actually very high quality. It's sort of a faux leather, and it gives a bit more support, and it's thicker, so it keeps the shoe quite comfortable. Another thing to notice is the performance of the heel liner. I got absolutely no blisters when I put these shoes on. It's a extremely padded, comfortable sort of suede heel liner, and it goes all the way around the shoe, which is quite nice and it's very comfortable. So I've really enjoyed actually breaking these shoes in. They were straight out of the box, extremely comfortable, and despite a couple slips, I think they've got quite good grip, and that's why I'm going to give them a 8.5 out of 10 for performance. the durability of the shoe. Puma haven't really had any major issues in the past with having shoes being like having extreme issues with durability, and I felt that these, even though I haven't had them for that long, only a couple of weeks, I don't feel any real imminent issues with these in the foreseeable future, except for the fact that I was quite unlucky and I actually caught a stud coming in right on the edge of the sole plate. I got a nice little bruise in my toe, but it bent the sole plate away because this is a plastic, so it did bend, and it looks as if it's cracking there, but it's actually, the leather's cracking, but it's actually not. It's because I've got some shoe goo underneath the plate there, holding it down, and I bent it back around because I felt it was quite unfortunate that I caught a stud right there. And I don't know if that was already going to be an issue or if I'm just extremely unlucky. But either way, that's just something to note, that there was a little bit of separation there after that happened. But for the rest of the shoe, really got no issues going around. Seems to be totally fine. No cracking in the sole plate. This whole DuoFlex thing's working quite nicely. And everything's still very comfortable. So I think for that reason, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 for durability, just because I don't know if that's unlucky or I don't think so, but I hope it won't happen again. Alright, anyways. Alright, and finally we're going to go over the value of the shoe. And it's not really a big subject, but even though these are fairly recently released and the manufacturer's suggested retail price was about $200, I picked them up off ProDirect for $155 or $165, but still, it was quite a good deal. I think for these shoes are going to be lasting me hopefully a full season. Not wearing them every day, but I'll have other shoes to switch in and out of, including the Umbros, which I just got. But I think that these are actually quite good shoes for the price. You get a quite quality shoe, so I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10 for value. And I think that if you've got somewhat of a wider foot, but you still enjoy speed boots, and you want a shoe that's comfortable, I definitely recommend this shoe. It's been everything I wish for and more. So I'd hope you'd be getting one of these soon. Alright, thanks for watching this video, and like, comment, and subscribe. If you want anything else, just let me know. Alright, peace.